What's up, guys? Welcome to my new personal garage. Now, with any car guy, you dream about getting your car, and then the next thing you think about is where do you keep it? Now, in my old house, I had a garage, and it kept the rain off of it, and I loved it, but it was a little tight. Now, at this new house, I have a 2.5, they call it, size garage, 2.5 car, or 2.5 bay, and it's wonderful, but as you can see, it's pretty gross, and there's tons of stuff in here. Obviously, we're gonna move all this stuff, but today's episode is gonna show you the step-by-step process. It's probably gonna be a 2 or 3 month video of all the things that I'm gonna do to make this into my garage mahal, or whatever you wanna call it, a place where I can detail at home and be comfortable. So, one of the first things we're gonna do is take these lolly columns out. These are things that support a beam. And what we're gonna do is put steel beams in. We're gonna put a new floor. We have custom cabinets being made. That horrific thing in the corner is gonna be knocked down. Obviously, all this is gonna be removed. So I just wanna take you through the step-by-step process and show you what I did to kind of inspire people at home, like, hey, this can be done, or this can't be done, or what you can do. And I am very, very excited to be here. And like I said, I moved from down south a little bit north, and to give my son a little bit more space to play. And with that, Daddy gets to play a little bit too in his garage. So that and a lot more coming up on this episode. And I'll show you what I'm gonna do to this garage, and hopefully by the end of it, it's gonna look pretty good. All right, let's do it. All the way in so that they sit on top of each other. Oh, touch-up paint on. Can hear it.
Before we get started, I needed to clean up a bit from my frantic move to allow enough space for the Lollygon engineer team to do their work. Lollygon was founded in 2008. They remove lolly columns to liberate your space in garages, kitchens, downstairs, and so on by installing a steel beam on both sides of the pre-existing wood beam so that the columns are no longer structurally necessary. Now, all kidding aside, I almost passed on buying this house because of the intrusive lolly columns. Luckily, there was a solution. First, they removed the sheetrock covering the wood beam, and then remove any exposed nails that might interfere or prevent the steel from laying flat against the wood. Next, they removed 3 old 2x4 supports and cleaned up any exposed nails in preparation for adding 5 new 2x4s. With the new support in place, the guys can remove the old columns from underneath the beam, but here's where it gets interesting. Each beam was 26.5 feet long and roughly 600 pounds. So you might be asking yourself, how do you get the beams off the truck and into the garage? That's a good question. First, the truck is backed up close to the garage and a portable lift system is set up called a lift genie. 2 guys pull the beam to the edge while the third mans the lift below. Once the beam is balanced on the lift, it's cranked down and rolled into the garage. Once inside, minor trimming is done for a custom fit. Then the beam is lifted into place on one side of the wood and screwed into place. The same process is repeated for the other side and screwed into the wood once again. Now the team drills holes through the steel and wood all along the beam to secure or squeeze the wood between the 2 pieces of steel. This is done with 7-inch grade 8 hex bolts and an impact wrench. In just one day, 3 workers installed 2 600-pound steel beams and removed 2 horrible lolly columns to make my garage wide open, and I was thrilled. The following day, my garage floor was to be installed, so everything needed to go, including the ancient garage cabinets in the corner. It was time for a little demo, which is everyone's favorite part of any renovation. Bright and early the next day, the team from Attitude Garage sanded the concrete to create a level floor and expose fresh concrete for better adhesion. To do this, they first used a large diamond-plated sander for the open areas, then a handheld diamond-plated polisher for the tight areas. When all was said and done, they actually ended up removing over 180 pounds of concrete dust from my concrete slab. One of the most overlooked issues with installing a new garage floor is not removing what's referred to as the cream or smooth concrete on the top surface of the concrete slab. It makes sense though, when you originally put the floor down, you want it to be smooth. However, when applying a new floor coating, this smoothness must be ground away to expose the pores or the non-smooth concrete underneath prior to putting on the new floor. Simple acid etching is usually not enough. It needs to be sanded for it to adhere and not pull up in the future.
All right, well, we're making a ton of progress in my garage here. As you can see, the lolly columns are gone. I got a steel beam in there. We took down the cabinets back there. I crushed them. That was kind of fun. We're taping and painting the wall. And of course, now I'm here with Lee and we're working on the floor. So my big question to you is, what's the difference between going to a hardware store and buying the stuff that you see in those commercials?
Yes.
Like, what's the difference between this and this big project we're doing here?
Well, the over-the-counter type stuff you will find in any supply house, you know what it does? It gives you a product, an acid etch. So
Right.
what it does, you spray it on, and what it does, it actually chews up the concrete and tries to make, get the epoxy to stick to it.
Right.
What we do, our product is, do not do that. What we do, we diamond grind the floor. So we open up all the pores in the floor. So our product, once we put it on, it actually becomes part of the concrete.
Right. So, and speaking of that, I got a lot of cracks here, and I didn't really notice until you ground it down.
Until you grind it down, then you really don't see it.
So what do you do with this?
We take a nice two-part plastic type filler, and we just put a nice tight wipe and fill all the cracks.
And I won't see it anymore.
And you won't see it.
Right.
And then plus once we put our chip on top of it, everything disappears.
Like blends in.
Blends in.
Okay. So my other big thing, and I'm a detailer, I'm not going to necessarily wash in here. But having
Yeah.
said that, I have sheetrock walls,
Yep.
and I'm going to have a little bit of water. There's no doubt. And I don't want any water to hit the sheetrock or go any place weird. And I mentioned that to you, and you brought this in. So what is this?
This is a resin product, and what it does, it goes on the base cove, and then you put it under the wall, and it can be painted by our product. And we can actually paint this product and chip it with our vinyl chips. So you cannot tell where the floor ends and the walls begin. It actually rolls up the wall.
Right.
So it gives it like a bathtub.
Yeah. So if I spill any water or whatever product, it's just
will
going
not
to go
go through
out.
this. It won't
Okay.
go into your shirt.
First, the workers apply construction adhesive to the back of the base cove and carefully place it against the sheetrock. Next, adhesive is applied to the outside of the base cove and immediately followed up with our floor chip pattern that sticks to the glue. Afterwards, the base coat is prepared and mixed for the concrete floor. However, before application, each worker wears a pair of spiked shoes to minimize footprints. As one guy applies the base coat, another randomly tosses the paint chip flakes on the wet floor, then it's allowed to dry for about an hour. For my floor, we're using a polyaspartic coating, and oddly enough, this product dries faster in humidity, which is the complete opposite of traditional thinking. So keep that in mind if you're using this type of coating on your floor. After lunch, the guys use a leaf blower to gather the excess chips into the corner of the room and save it for another job. Immediately afterwards, the now spiky floor is scraped with a tool to chop off the peaks of these spikes. You see, as the flakes dry, they tend to be in all different directions, causing the floor to be prickly if you happen to be walking with bare feet. This is easily solved with a few passes of the scraper tool. Once the floor is smooth, the scraped off chips are vacuumed up before the final clear coat is applied. Much the same as before, the clear coat is applied with a roller while still wearing the coolest golf shoes ever. It'll be ready for light foot traffic in about 6 hours, cars in about 30 hours or so. I simply left it alone for a long weekend. Once the floor was set up, we finished sheetrocking the hole left from installing the beam, taped and painted the walls. Ideally, this should have been done before the floor, but life and my recent move got in the way. The back wall and ceiling received flat white paint, while both side walls received a light gray to blend in with my steel beam. My next project was to replace these old, useless lights. My goal was to use 6 4-foot fixtures in the garage, but I wasn't quite sure what bulbs to use. More on that in a minute. To do this, my electricians, a father and son team, ran the power off the existing fixtures by snaking a metal wire through the ceiling to a small hole on the other side, then attaching a wire and pulling it through to avoid cutting up my ceiling sheetrock. This process was repeated in 6 different locations. As we all know, lighting for a detailer is crucial, but I didn't know exactly what bulb or what hue I wanted for my garage, so I contacted a buddy.
Hey Larry, big fan. Really glad I could add my input on some of this research that I've done on lighting over the years for the new spot that you now have to store your cars and do all the cool stuff that us car guys tend to do. So what we've chosen are high CRI, 6500 Kelvin, T8 fluorescent fixtures. Did you get all that? So we want a bulb that is on the daylight side of the spectrum versus sort of the candle side of the spectrum. So these are going to be on sort of the bluer side. We want bulbs that are very color accurate, so they have a high color rendering index. We also want to make sure that when we hit the switch, the lights turn on instantaneously rather than flickering and having to sort of warm up. That's accomplished by simply not buying the cheapest lights. Most decent quality $50, $60, $70, $80 fixture and up is going to have no difficulties doing that. And then we've chosen a bulb from a company called Verilux. Verilux makes, from what I've found, to be the very best T8 sized fluorescent fixture, which is very, very color accurate. It's a full spectrum light, so you can see all spectrums of the color, sort of the color gamut, and works really, really well, I found, for detailing and seeing scratches and swirls and issues in the paint, while still giving you very accurate look into what the true color is going to be. So happy I could add some of my input, and I'm psyched for your new garage. Hope you have fun in there.
Once the light fixtures were in place, I asked the guys if they could help install a new exhaust fan in the wall to help pull exhaust fumes out of the garage when I park the car after a long day of driving the Porsche. With a simple hole cut in the wall, the outside vent is glued and then screwed into place, allowing the fan on the inside to draw in the air and then push it out this vent. Finally, they ran the power and installed a switch for my under-cabinet lights coming in a few weeks, as well as a 220-volt conduit across the garage ceiling for the new Jenny air compressor on order. Now, with the power lines run, installing the compressor was the next job, and when I saw it come off the trailer at a whopping 700 pounds, I knew this was a beast. After a 4-man Herculean event, we moved the Jenny into position and placed hockey pucks under the feet to absorb vibration. Likewise, this will be bolted to the floor once the cabinets and the fixtures are in their permanent location. Next, we affixed the hanger for the RevAir refrigerated compressed air purification system designed to clean compressed air before it hits my tools. I'm sure you're asking yourself, what the heck does this thing do? Well, with residue control my top concern on delicate paint, blowing out my pads with compressed air that has oily, wet, or dirty air inside of it defeats the purpose of cleaning the pad in the first place. These filters remove particles down to 0.01 microns before it hits the tool or the pad. I'm sure we've all experienced that little spritz of water coming out of the air nozzle. Well, this water then travels into our expensive tools and reduces their longevity and power. It's sort of like an air filter for your engine to breathe clean air. Speaking of this engine, this is an 80-gallon, 230-volt cast iron, splash lubricated, belt-driven beast of a compressor. In my head, I hear Tim the Toolman Taylor grunting in excitement. Alright, so I know what you're thinking. This thing must be ridiculously loud. But to my surprise, it's not. It's a compressor, so it's not quiet. But at the same time, I've had portable compressors easily twice as loud, so I'm excited about that. Plus, with a tank this huge, it doesn't turn on very often. Later that day, my electrician was nice enough to pop over after work and hand-wire the compressor to the wall unit and kill switch. Then I was ready to roll.
While I'm waiting for my cabinets to be built, I'm working on two special things that I've always wanted to do in hopes of getting a big garage like this one here. The first one is setting up a hot water spigot. So I have my hot water heater here. It runs through a little filter for the house, obviously, and then goes up, comes around here, and then I had some plumbers install this, and this is basically a faucet. So one of the things I want to make it very clear is you don't want to wash your car in hot water. But up here in the Northeast, if you're constantly washing your car, your knuckles start to go. At least mine go pretty badly. So what I do is I just make it warm. Plus, once it goes from here, it goes into the CR spotless water system. Again, I don't have the filters here because every year I change them out and get them refiltered, so they're coming back in the next couple days. But there's two big filters here, so as this water goes through, it filters in. Why do I say that? Well, you don't want to have anything above 80, 85, 90 degrees, something like that, going through this filter system. That's not a great idea. Plus, you don't want to wash your car in something like that. So the point of having a little bit of hot water is kind of just like very comforting to me, because when you dunk your hand into a 30 or 40 degree temperature water, that's a big deal, and it kind of hurts my hands. So I want to make it warm, so 60, 70, something like that. And then of course it goes from here, goes all the way down, filters, and goes out through the hose. The other thing I want to make very clear is when I moved from closer to New York City, that is sewer water, right? You can turn it on and last for days, right? This here is well water. So this is even more important to make sure that I'm filtering as much as I possibly can. All right, the second thing that I want to show you is over here. So check this out. This is the Quick Jack system from Ranger Products, and I saw them 3 or 4 years ago at SEMA lifting a Corvette up, maybe about this high in the middle of a showroom, just using like a little regular outlet 110 and then this little, switches. I'm like, what is going on here? How is this possible? Now my dream, of course, was to always have a lift. In my old house, not possible, obviously. This one is much bigger, the space here, but I don't have enough room for a 2 or 4 post lift, nor do I have the height to do that. So these came in perfectly. I've wanted these so long. I just got them yesterday, so I'm putting them together. There's some assembly required, but it's not that big of a deal. More importantly, if I go on some calls, meaning a movie or a photo shoot auction or something where I'm going to be spending a lot of time with the car and I need to take the wheels off and get underneath it or whatever, I can just boom, use these. I don't have to worry about having a lift system somewhere else. I'll just throw them in the back of the truck, good to go. Or if I go to the track, that's going to be my next year season thing. I'm really excited about that, to go to the track. I always, carry a jacket and then go around and do 4, each side, and it's kind of a pain in the butt and it hurts my knees or whatever. Anyways, I'm very excited about these. We'll shoot 1,000 videos of lifting the Porsche up. So anyways, the only thing that's left now is to put the cabinets in, and I'm super excited. Well, the cabinets are here and they're amazing. This is the Moduline Pro 2 series. They are super strong. I'll show you how strong they are. They carry a ton of weight. So I had 2 or 3 guys come in yesterday. It took about 6 or 7 hours to put them in and drill them against the wall and drill them into the floor, the whole thing. And like I said, they look spectacular. But I want to pull you guys in. I put, remember the light switch we did? So I turned the light switch on, the LEDs, pops on here. I'm going to probably put a little chair or something so I can look at and work. This countertop is beautiful, and I left the cardboard it came in because it's so clean. I don't want to, I think I'm going to put some clear bra on it. But anyways, when I pull a car in, I'm going to pull it this direction, maybe a little sideways. I can put my quick jacks underneath. And then I have everything I could ever imagine like in one spot. So we're going to do a ton of films on that. But check this out too. This, that's kind of fun. This has been like my dream to do this kind of thing right here. So it means a lot to me to have my products here. And so it's kind of a big moment. Anyways, check out these draws. These draws are really cool too. They're a quick draw, they're called. So you can pull on it and they won't come out, but you lift up. I mean, it's just very, very smooth. So anyways, I appreciate you guys coming along. This video was a lot of fun for me. And I don't know, this is like what the whole thing is about, and being with your car and cleaning and driving. And I don't know. So I'm very, very happy. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, Larry at AMMONYC.com, or visit my website, AMMONYC.com. If you have any questions specifically on these kind of things, just shoot me an email and I'll forward you off to the guys and let them answer all the specifics. Thank you. Enjoy your garage.